Hi everybody. It's that time of the evening again when I'm sitting right here to talk to you. So I want to remind some of us about some long time things that used to happen and to apprise some people, the younger people, of some things that used to take place. Now, I was listening to a program on the television not too long ago while I was doing something, and I heard the youngsters talking about the artificial intelligence and what they're expecting and stuff like that. And some of them were saying that they wanted to have a robot that would do everything for them. And the host said, "And what would you do?" And they said nothing. They could just ask, and the thing would go to the refrigerator and bring them stuff. And they even said that they want robots that could read their minds, and so when they get home they would have Kentucky Fried Chicken ready, home cooked Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And if they want robots to do everything, after a while I think they'd be bored stiff. It would either drive them out of their minds or kill them. Some of them were a little more realistic, but for the most part, they thought that these robots, they needed them to do everything. And I was just thinking about my time as a child when I lived. If these children knew how we lived back in the day, I think they would laugh to death and think that we're from a different planet, perhaps. Because I don't know how many of their parents tell them about their childhood, and some of them, especially those who never grew up in the country, they wouldn't have much to tell. But let me tell you something. I remember when I was growing up and they were paving the roads. Like, for instance, my road in the country used to be just rough. And then when they decided to pave the road, that was an occasion, because I remember that the women would sit by the side of the road and they would break stones, and then the men would put that on the road. After they put on some marl, I think they would put on the marl, and then the presser, that is what we call it, the heavy big wheeled thing, three iron wheels it had, very broad, and it was so slow. We call it the presser. I don't know what is the correct name for it, because as children, we just called it what we heard, and that was that. And it would press the marl, and then the men would spread the stones on the marl, and the presser would go over it, and then the truck would come with the tar and tar it, and then they would put the gravel, what they call aggregate or something, put the gravel on it, and then the presser would press it again. Let me tell you something. Those roads would last. You see, like when you're going down into Trelawney and these places, and you notice that the roads are just smooth, they're almost white, because the tar over the years, it's like it just pressed in and all of that. And those roads remain the way they were made. I remember my mother used to refer to them as nylon roads. I don't know what is the thinking, why she called it nylon roads, but those roads were just like impermeable. They just remained there forever and ever, not getting potholes and that kind of thing. What they do now is different. What they do is have the ready-made, what they call barber green, the ready-made gravel and tar, and put it there. And as soon as it rains heavily and the water seeps through, it just breaks it up. And then you have these big potholes and you have to go do it all over again. But I think what perhaps the thinking is that they're civilized and nobody not breaking stones anymore and doing that kind of thing. But that used to be so nice to see the women on the road breaking the stones and see how the men fix the road. That is one thing that we used to do back then. Then let me tell you about the iron now that we used to iron our clothing. we some like the tailor in my country area, the tailor had an iron that they referred to as self-heater. It's a big iron with a red handle, and they would put coal in there and make the fire in there, and the iron would be hot, and then he would use it to iron. But like us now, before we got electricity, we had the smaller versions. You could just hold it in your hand. So you'd have like 4 or 6 of them, and then you'd put it on the coal stove or wherever you put it, and allow it to heat. And then when it was sufficiently heated, now you iron. You used to starch the clothes. Listen to me, man. I have so many stories to tell you, see. And you would starch the clothes and iron it. And when that one was cooling now, not making the clothes as neat as it should, they would put it back in the stove, and then lift out another one and clean it off and gone to do whatever. You looked at those seams and all those things with the starch, stiff like razor. It could cut you. Yes, man. And we never had any difficulty doing all of those things because it was the norm. So we just thought that was that until we got electricity, and then we got our electric irons, and then we could do our thing and stuff like that. I saw this lady was it on the television? I think it was on YouTube. I was looking for something and I saw a lady on YouTube talking about listen to how chocolate is made, and she was so excited and all of that. And she was showing how she did it from the cacao pod and that kind of thing. And I'm saying my grandmother used to do that, because I remember I used to go to the chocolate tree and I used to take off the pod, break it open, and I would eat it because it was so nice, and I used to eat lots of it. And I remember one day a woman said to me, don't eat so much of that thing, because if you eat so much of it, you're not going to be able to have children. And I was so disappointed because I know that I wanted to have children, and she's saying if I eat so much of it, I wouldn't have children. But you see, what happened when you broke it open, my grandmother, she would put it on a sheet of zinc to dry. And when it was dry now, she had her mortar and her stick. What we call it again? Don't remember. You want to call it a pestle or whatever it is. I don't remember the name for it. But she would pound it, and it would get oily. And then she would take it out and she would roll it on a piece of board, and she would make it into little sticks and cut it, and some of them she made into balls, and when they were dried, people could use it for tea. And let me tell you something, man, what is better than a hot cup of chocolate tea on a rainy day or on a very cold night? And this lady was so excited about it and thinking that she just discovered something, and I'm saying, oh, my grandmother used to do that long time ago. Also, with the ice cream, before we had visiting ice cream trucks, there's a gentleman in the district that used to make ice cream. Let me tell you how he made it. He had a bucket and he put ice in it. I think it was a metal bucket that was in there, and whatever the ingredients were for the ice cream, he put it in there, and then between the wooden part of the bucket and the metal part, he put ice. And I think they put what you call it, dry ice. And he would churn away and churn away and churning until the thing got solid and became ice cream. And listen to me, every Sunday evening when he was passing by, we'd get our ice cream. We got rum and raisin, and we got what you call it? What's the other one that I love dearly? Man, why I can't remember? Grape nut. Oh jeez, I love grape nut. And we got ice cream, and we used to get a thing named the snow cone, where they shaved off the big block of ice, put it into a little paper cup, and sprayed syrup on it, and sometimes they added water so that it wouldn't be too sweet for us. And we had our snow cone, and they had different colors syrup, and then after a while it went into a plastic bag, and it was called not snow cone. Goodness, I'm not remembering what it was called. It went into a plastic bag and it had a different name. And you'd get the straw to drink it and all of that. We used to do all sorts of things, man, I tell you. But you know what I remembered? The tilly lamp. I don't know if all of you remember the tilly lamp. Before we had electric light, we had a tilly lamp. And you had to pour, I think it was alcohol you poured in it. And it had a thing called a mantle. It was made of cloth. And they would put it up on a little pole in the lamp, and it was under the shade. And then after they put in the thing and they pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped, they lit the mantle. It's a piece of cloth like a net, a little piece of net. And then when you lit it, it would just burn out into ash, but it remained intact. Only if you bumped the lamp real hard, then it would break, but it was there. And then what I discovered a while ago is that because I was thinking if tilly lamps still existed, and yes, they do. In the United Kingdom, they still have tilly lamps, and they even have the asbestos mantles. I was wondering whether the ones that we used to use is asbestos, because remember that asbestos is very dangerous, and we're using it and we wouldn't even know. And I saw something where the man said, yes, the asbestos can be used, just ensure that you don't inhale it. We never knew all of that at that time, that we mustn't inhale it. But I'm just thinking that it was a cloth one we had. It wasn't the metal one, I'm sure. But I am thinking that it was not the asbestos one. It was just that one. And then we had the lamp. Maybe some of these youngsters might have seen a lamp, because their grandmothers might have a lamp that says "Home Sweet Home." And you remember when it got smoky, we used to take it off the lamp and we'd push our hand in there with a little piece of newspaper or something, and we'd clean it, and sometimes we'd blow into it so that it gets really nice and shiny, and put it back on, and it said "Home Sweet Home." Oh my goodness, those were the days. These youngsters don't know anything about that, but just wanted to apprise some people and remind some people, because I know that some of us remember, and maybe some of us who lived in the cities like in Kingston and these places might not even have known. But I was exposed to a lot of things, because my mother took me all over the place. We used to go to St. Anne, we went to Ocho Rios, we went to Kingston, we went to all of these places all over. So I got a very good cross section of what happened in certain places and in the places where it mattered, just sharing that with you tonight. All right, so rest well, have a good night. But before you do, after you've looked at this one, remember to subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment if you will. Please leave a comment and tell me if you remember these things. Yes, have a good one, rest well. Thanks for watching. Bye.